You ever get that feeling like you really want to share something, but
Mm,
you kind of get choked up? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, totally.
Like you want to be open and honest, but
Yeah,
there's this fear holding you back.
absolutely. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, like how to work through those fears about, well, being vulnerable, right? And how that all ties into, building stronger connections. We've got some really interesting stuff to unpack. So, yeah.
I'm excited about this one.
Me too. So, I think like a lot of people see vulnerability as this weakness, but everything we've been reading suggests it's actually like the opposite.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Vulnerability gets kind of a bad rap, like it's something to avoid at all costs. But our sources, they really turn that idea on its head. They're arguing that vulnerability is actually like this fundamental building block for any relationship, any strong relationship at least.
Okay, so then why does it feel so, I don't know, so risky to like let your guard down even with people you're, you know, close to? Well, think about it this way, like way back when our ancestors, if they showed weakness, that could mean getting kicked out of the group.
Which is basically like a death sentence back then,
Oh,
right?
exactly. So like even though we've come a long way since then, that instinct, that primal fear of exposing ourselves, it sticks around.
So it's almost like it's in our DNA at this point.
Kind of, yeah. There's actually hold on, there's this study. Yeah, this study that Brene Brown talks about. I think it was in, yeah, one of our sources mentioned it. Anyway, it showed that, get this, the part of our brain that processes physical pain,
Yeah.
like actual physical pain, it also lights up when we experience rejection.
Whoa, seriously.
Yeah. Isn't that
So
wild?
it's not just like in our heads, it's like literally in how our brains are wired.
Exactly. So yeah, no wonder it's tough.
No kidding. So then how do we even start to like get over that primal like danger signal?
Well, one of the most, and this came up a lot in what we read, is just acknowledging the fear.
Okay, so like don't try to pretend it's not there.
Exactly. Don't judge it. Don't try to like fight it off. Just be like, okay, this feels scary, and that's fine.
Easier said than done though, am I right?
Oh, for sure. But the idea is once you acknowledge it, then you can shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on the fear, think about what you could gain.
Like deeper connections, more authentic relationships, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's like choosing courage over comfort.
I like that. Choosing courage over comfort.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't expect someone to go from never sharing anything to suddenly pouring their heart out.
Right, right. Of course not.
That's where this whole starting small thing comes in. Yeah.
Exactly. There was this great analogy in one of the sources talking about building a muscle, which I thought was perfect.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Because you wouldn't, walk into the gym for the first time ever and try to bench press like 300 pounds. Right. You'd start small, gradually increase the weight as you get stronger. Vulnerability is kind of the same way.
Okay, I'm following you. So then what's like I don't know, a lighter weight example when it comes to being vulnerable? Like instead of spilling your deepest, darkest secret on day one.
Right. So it could be something as simple as like sharing a small worry you have or admitting you're a little nervous about something.
Oh, so like even just saying, I'm not sure, but I'm open to hearing your thoughts, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Those are all great starting points. And the key is, as you share these smaller vulnerabilities and you get positive responses, it builds your confidence. Like it's like adding another pound to your weightlifting routine.
Which makes me think about, the trust thing. Because
Yeah.
who wants to be vulnerable if they feel like the other person is going to like dismiss them or even use it against them?
Oh, you're hitting on such a crucial point. Trust is like the foundation, right? Especially when we're talking about vulnerability. But here's the thing. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time. It takes consistent effort, both ways too.
So how do we like build that trust? Is it something we can actively work on, or is it more like you either have it or you don't?
Oh no, we can definitely build it. It's like imagine every time you show up for someone, you keep a promise or you handle their feelings with care. It's like you're making a deposit into this trust account.
I like that, building that safe space brick by brick.
Exactly.
And I guess while we're on the topic of building, we can't forget about the most important relationship, right?
Yeah.
The one we have with ourselves.
Totally.
And I know the sources talked about self-compassion. So what does it actually look like in this context when we're talking about like facing our fear of being vulnerable?
That's so important because honestly, a lot of times we are our own worst critics.
Yeah.
We judge our own vulnerability so harshly, we tell ourselves we're too much or not enough.
Oh my gosh, all the time. It's like this constant inner critic sometimes.
Right. But imagine a friend confided in you. You wouldn't berate them for their feelings, right? You'd be kind, you'd offer support. So self-compassion is about turning that same kindness inward, especially when we feel vulnerable.
It's true. We can be so much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on anyone else.
It's a weird thing, right? But we got to work on it.
We do. And I imagine, just like with anything else, there are going to be times when we need, a little extra help.
Absolutely. Overcoming deep-rooted fears, especially about vulnerability, it's not always a walk in the park.
Definitely not.
And that's where, seeking professional help like therapy can be so helpful. A therapist can provide that safe, non-judgmental space to really dig into those fears and figure out how to work through them.
It's like having a coach in your corner,
Yeah.
helping you train that vulnerability muscle.
Exactly. I love that.
So as we wrap up here, what's I don't know, the biggest thing you hope our listeners take away from today?
For me, what's really stuck with me is that vulnerability isn't just about romantic relationships. It's the key to connecting more deeply with everyone in our lives, friends, family, even colleagues. It's about showing up authentically no matter where we are.
It's like we all have this superpower, this ability to connect on a deeper level, but sometimes we need a little help figuring out how to use it, right?
Exactly.
And remember, you don't have to bare your soul on day one. Start small, build that trust, be kind to yourself along the way, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Now, here's something to think about. What if embracing vulnerability could not only strengthen your relationships, but also lead to some serious self-discovery?